We think there's two types of people, two types of DIYers. There are the people who love the white radiators, the white walls, the white windowsills, the white windows, white everything. I'll tell you the third after, but the second type is the realistic DIYers that search and test and test. The realistic side of DIYing is that we found that it is a minimum of 9 testers per room to get your colour, your vision, your inspiration, and you can do it. Instead of white, you can colour drench. Yoris is going to show you exactly how we did it.
Here's our method of painting a radiator the easiest way without leaving bristle lines all over the place. We're going to be using Zinsser BIN or Zinsser Bin as a primer and a wood and metal paint for the top coat. Now, each job requires a different brush. For the shellac-based primer, we're going to be using this soft, high-quality brush. Shaky, shaky, shaky. The process is quite simple, but you need to be fast because this shellac-based primer dries very, very fast. So you need to be quick before it creates any sort of bristle lines. So here's my process. I load up my brush and I go in between the fins. How do they call these? I apply everything there and then I do a quick smoothing of the top line. And then I take everything in like this way, so that all the bristle lines are facing one direction. And I repeat the process. Again, I go on the other side, I put the product there, I smooth the line, I take everything away, like so. And then I go in between, I apply a bit of product in between, but I don't want it to dry, so I'm going quite fast and I smooth it out. 1, 2, 1, 2. And this way, if the bristle lines are parallel, they don't look so messy. Again, I'm applying a bit of product and then quite fast before it starts drying, I smooth it out. If things start drying out and you see that there's a bit of mess like here or here, don't touch it because you're going to create more mess because it starts creating a thin film immediately. So keep going and then you can fix it either by sanding it or by the second coat. Yes, with this process, Zinsser Bin says that 1 coat is enough. However, I don't trust it, so I'm going to be doing 2 coats. And with the same process, I go from the beginning until the end, and I don't do these yet. Smooth it out, smooth it out. Done. I'm not touching it anymore. I'm moving on to the next bit. This process is exactly the same, even if your radiators are already primed or brand new and you just want to change the color. However, you need to be aware the state that the radiator is in. So if your radiator has flaking paints, it's an old radiator, you need to do preparation. And if you want to see how we prepared this radiator up to this point, check the video, link at the top here anyway, whatever top that is. Done. And now that we have done all the internal bits, we move to the outer part. I spread a bit, smooth it out immediately. Nice. Well, it doesn't look so nice yet, but it will be nicer. later. Now that I've done this and it's all quite wet, I'm going to do this, trying to keep my brush steady. The last bit is already dry, has already dried. There. Trying not to touch inside here. Brush a bit and smooth it out. Brush a bit, smooth it out. Brush a bit, smooth it out. We are not done. Now, when you paint this, you don't want paint to go inside the radiator. So what I'm doing is I tap my brush to put some paint there. Lightly. Yeah. Now I'm smoothing it. That's it. The back of the radiator is optional if you want to paint it or not. For our case, we don't need to paint all of it. We're just going to paint the edges that are going to be obvious. Alrighty, I have done 2 coats of primer, and before I go and paint, I need to check everything for small mistakes, like here. These all need to be fixed before I put the top coat, because they will show. And I will be using one of these spongy sandpapers. And now they're gone. I'll go and check everything, and then I will apply the top coat. And now that all of this is done and prepared, it's time to put some color in our lives. Let's see how it looks like. Looks like pink now, but it's not. I will apply with the exact same process. The difference now is that I'm using a different brush, which is for water-based paints, first of all. And second, it's a bit wider because this paint is not drying as fast and I don't need to be super quick in the application. So the process is the same. I apply some on the radiator. That looks very pink actually. There you go. I take my paint, I drag it to the middle, and I do the same up here. I put it in there, everywhere. I smooth it out, and I drag it to the middle. And I go to town. And I do the exact same movement, smoothing it out several times. And after 2 coats of paint, our radiator is complete. And if you think that this is white, here's the difference to an actual white radiator. And here is an almost black radiator. Same technique.
But what's the third type of people? People find it so addressing. There are those other DIYers that just love the layers. Layer upon layer upon layer of paint. They don't do anything, they just put the next layer of paint on. We hope this method will encourage you to play with more colour in your life. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one. Remember, if we can do it, you can do it.